Zach Reynolds in the house here, the Rescue Live podcast. Dude.
Let's do it, man.
This is you have the distinction of being the first guest in the studio.
No kidding.
So
Nice. Lucky me.
Absolutely. On the most beautiful of days outside.
Oh, it's gorgeous, man. This is Boston weather as I envisioned it.
Actually,
right?
this is pretty close.
It's great.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, man.
So
thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Of course. Rescue Lab podcast here. We talk about things tech rescue. And obviously you are, the poster child of tech rescue. Come on.
Far from that, man. Far from that.
No.
I'm blessed beyond measure, man. I got a good thing. I've fooled a lot of folks.
Haven't we all?
That's it, man. We're
they say fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
I'm still waiting to make it, but
I'm faking it as hard as I can.
You're doing a good job.
But I appreciate that. Thank you.
So you're from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
You're a lieutenant on down there. And how long have you been on?
13 years now.
13 years.
Little
North Carolina Task Force 8.
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk about that too,
cool,
for
man.
Sure. And Anderson Rescue Solutions.
ARS, man. Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to have to throw that in there.
Oh, please.
But
yeah, we got to do the
plugs,
we got to
do the pitch. Plugs. You know what I mean? That's for sure. But let's talk about, Zach, and where did your story begin?
Sure.
I know you said you were a lifeguard.
Yeah.
Tell us about that and how you got into the fire
cool,
service.
Man. Yeah, so originally from Greensboro, North Carolina, man. I grew up very fortunate, man. My family's awesome. My dad was a CSI for Greensboro Police.
Oh, no way.
Crime scene investigator. Before the show got big, before CSI got big.
CSI Miami guy right here.
No kidding.
Yeah, I don't know
it makes sense. I can see it. I see it. But yeah, my dad was, that was his lifelong goal. And he made it work there for Greensboro Police. And he just always had a good, healthy appreciation for public safety, first responders, all the things, man. So that was always his kind of drive. Hey, Zach, do this, do that. And then, so went to college 4 years. And still didn't really know what I wanted to do. Yeah. And then I got into the ocean rescue lifeguard game down in just outside of Wilmington, North Carolina. Yeah. Guarded there for a little bit, and then met a couple guys there who really kind of pitched firefighting. And they were like, "Man, Zach, you should really look into the fire service in general." I was like, I always knew about the fire service. Yeah. Sounds good. I don't know. And then did a little bit more of a deep dive, man. And it's one of those things, knowing then what I know now, I wish I would have started out earlier. Yeah. And given it a chance. How old are you? I'm 37 now.
No, but how old are you when?
I was then 22,
okay.
21, 22.
That's still pretty young.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, it was just one of those things, kind of like military. It's just kind of bypassed it, never really looked into it. Yep. And I wish I would have, right? I wish I would have done a deep dive.
Coast Guard helicopter pilot.
Exactly. Coast Guard helicopter pilot. Had I been able to do it then,
you and me both.
We probably wouldn't be talking fire stuff.
We co-pilot.
We would be talking piloting
that'd be
stuff,
cool.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, so ocean rescue really just kind of led me into the fire service, and then, like I said, I've been fortunate since then. I got offered a job in Raleigh. I applied to 2 places: Charleston, South Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, and I did not do well on Charleston's test.
Happens for a reason.
And I did well on Raleigh's test.
Yeah.
And, had a couple people go to bat for me, a couple feet in the door there. And it just kind of worked out, man.
Awesome.
And then, like I said, that was 13 and a half years ago. I started January of 2013, moved to Raleigh, and the rest is history, man. It's all worked out since. So.
What sort of drew you to the lifeguarding? How did you get into that?
Baywatch.
Yeah. it's
obviously.
It's actually coming back out. I don't know if you've seen.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. Okay. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
There's nothing wrong with that.
The Rock is the greatest actor of our generation. We all know that.
Our future king.
Yes.
For
The Rock 2028.
Yes.
He's got my presidential vote already. He and Taylor Swift together.
Yeah.
So The Rock did a great remake of Baywatch, but the original Baywatch, man, growing up watching that, I was like, man, I want to live at the beach.
Absolutely.
I want to be David Hasselhoff.
Yes.
And I want to date Pam Anderson.
Yes.
I was more of a Yasmin Bleak kind of guy anyway, but nevertheless.
No, there's no problems with that.
No, not at all. Right.
And they had Coast Guard helicopter.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But yeah, that was one of the things. And then I got to go to, I was just always drawn to the beach. I got to go to school at UNC Wilmington for my 4-year bachelorette. And Wilmington's right there on the coast. So I spent a lot of time surfing and beach life in general. And then I just kind of got drawn to it.
What is that?
So
that lifeguarding like? Is that, I know it's professional, but is it sort of like that fire department style, or is it sort of like the city lifeguard?
Yeah. So
the California style. You know what I mean?
In our area of North Carolina, it's a really more of a part-time role, right? Yeah. So I guess you could say it's an ocean rescue division underneath the fire department. Is kind of how most of them are set up, and then they fill it. There's a few full timers that are part of the fire department, and then the majority are seasonal part-time lifeguards. Yep. From Memorial Day to Labor Day. That's when the beaches are huge in North Carolina, super crowded. Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July weekend, Labor Day weekend, they're massive and very crowded. So a lot of rescues and congestion those weekends.
Yeah.
But then the summers from May really to September, October is when that seasonal times are good. So it's great for people in college, students or guys and gals coming back home to Wilmington or wherever they're from college is kind of the makeup of what our ocean rescue program was back then. It's probably a lot of the same now, but like I said, that's 13, 14 years ago. So.
Things have changed.
Exactly.
But things probably haven't changed that much.
No.
What from lifeguarding has still stuck with you to this day professionally?
Sure. The passion of serving people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was one of the main places that it opened my eyes of, hey, this is an opportunity to help people, and not just help people, right? Teaching fire academies, a lot of times you hear folks say, hey, I want to help people. Well, you want to help people, man, go to the soup kitchen, right? Yeah. Chick-fil-A does great customer service.
They are unbelievable.
Fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And the soup kitchen helps people, right? But there's a little bit more to it in that kind of adrenaline side of things, as well as helping people and being able to focus on a skill set that you've trained really hard for.
Yeah.
I won't say perfected, but you've trained really hard for it and you've gotten good at it, right?
Yeah, it's a profession.
Exactly. That you're willing to risk something to help someone else in a capacity that they cannot help themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool facet of it. And I think even from a lifeguarding perspective, as a seasonal part-time ocean rescue person a few months out of the year to a full-time career firefighter and technical rescuer and whatever I get to do now, man, those are the parallels that have overlapped for me. And I call it my career for 14 years.
Yeah, and I think it's what's lost a lot is the customer service side of it.
Right.
And I know people talk about it all the time.
Right.
And they're always on interviews tell us about customer service. And I think there's a lot of lip service to it.
Absolutely.
And it's hard to really believe that. There's a line. You either believe it or you don't.
Right.
And there's the guys at the station like, this is bull.
Exactly.
This lip assist. And I get it. But I think you have to buy into that.
Absolutely. And they're not wrong, man.
No.
2:00 in the morning, that lift assist comes out. You're like, man, this blows.
Yes.
This is not fun.
I'm not saying
I don't want to be a part of this. But
I don't want to be here anymore.
Not even a little bit, right?
Yeah.
This is not where I want to be. But if you can change an outlook on it, right? You can change your perception, how you view that call.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes back to personal things, right? What have you had? What has your family seen? What has your family been a part of over the years, right? And if you can treat that person as if it's your grandmother or your mother calling 911, even at 2:00 in the morning, right? Yes, it's a lift assist. It's very simple. It's very run-of-the-mill for us. It's boring. I had to get out of bed to come help this person. They could have waited till 6 or 7. When in reality, it was an emergency to them. At 2:00 in the morning, right? If that man can't help that lady up out of the bed, off the floor, back into bed, that is an emergency for that person. And ultimately, that's where customer service comes in. Yeah, we don't want to do it. It can be an inconvenience. It can seem like an inconvenience. But man, to have a smile on your face when you walk into that door at 2:00 in the morning because that gentleman or that lady or both are experiencing the worst event that they can possibly fathom at that moment, man, it's our job and our duty to help them. Yeah. So it's super cool that we get to.
Of course. And I think in those moments, you're riding, you're making the ride there, you're making the ride back. I think what helps too is having your crew next to you.
No doubt.
Obviously sharing that moment together. Yeah. I always try to make a terrible joke or something.
Absolutely.
Just to lighten the mood on the way back.
You got
and then not go back to sleep for the next 4 hours.
Right. You lay in bed kicking whatever, rolling over. I'm lucky, man. I can just fall back asleep.
I cannot.
Half the time I fall asleep, so I get to drive, right? So sometimes it depends, right? Do I have my slides and my gym shorts on, or do I have socks and I'm actually putting on turnout pants to go inside? Depends on the nature of the call.
Of course.
And I'm just waiting. Hey, Cap, I'm listening to the radio. Call me if you need me. And half the time I'm asleep. On our 4th call after midnight anyway, sitting in the truck.
Yeah.
No.
Nice and warm.
Exactly, man. That's great. I'm warmer. I'm cool. They're dealing with some other stuff.
I'm here if you need me.
Perks of being a driver, right?
Yeah.
You either promote to driver and then you don't promote past it or whatever. But
what is so the next step after we talked previous about the promotional side on your department. So you promote to driver. Is that the path to becoming a captain is next and that's in charge of the truck?
Yeah, it is. For my organization, we've got backstep firefighters and relief drivers. That's kind of grouped in one. And then we have seated drivers. A lot of people call them chauffeurs, engineers. Absolutely, the seated driver position. Our rank is lieutenant, but our role is seated driver.
Yeah.
And then the next up rank is captain or company officer.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the pathway. Everybody from backseat has to go through lieutenant or our seated driver's position in order to make captain or a company officer's position.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's almost a good thing. I mean, you have to experience that.
Yeah, man. So there's pros and cons to all of it, right? And it's what I know. It's my organization. It's the only organization I've been full-time career part of.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a healthy appreciation, I guess, for it. But I think it is cool. If you're going to be a company officer, then you have served every rank and role on that company.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you've got engines, trucks, rescues, different conglomerates, right? But if you're going to be the company officer of a crew in my department, in my city, then you have served the other roles on that crew.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said.
Right, full time, right?
Yeah, that was one thing when I was coming up. I mean, luckily I made it off every test that I took. However, it was always at the tail end.
Okay.
So I'd spend like that whole year acting in whatever spot,
right?
And you get moved around all the time. So the one good thing is I moved around and was on the ladders, was on the engines, was everywhere. The bad part is I had to retake every other test because I didn't know if I was going to make it. So, but and I made it, thank goodness. But I do have an appreciation for moving around, and you get to meet everybody,
right?
All the different personalities, whether good or bad.
Absolutely.
But there is something to be said for experiencing all that as an officer.
Absolutely.
And we can talk about that too. But
absolutely,
you said you got on and you were able to experience the special ops side early on in your career.
I was fortunate. Like I said,
how'd that work out?
Faked it till I made it. Right.
But you came right into like a tech company, or like?
No, I was about a year removed from the academy, probably a year and a half, I guess, before making it to a tech company. So. Yeah, again, I had people in my corner looking out for me.
Yeah, it's always good.
Well, it is, man, and there's good sides to it. There's also obviously a healthy appreciation for people kind of looking out for you and having your back. But the only reason people look out for you and have your back is because you worked hard and made a good impact on them, right? So it's not a sense of spoiled, right? Yeah. It's a sense of, hey, I feel like I worked hard and I tried to make a name, and certain people saw that and respected that and appreciated that, and then took it upon themselves to look out for you.
Yeah,
and
but I mean
that's a great part of the fire service.
That's like in life. It's who you know. But in the special ops side, I feel like if you do make those impressions on the people, they see that, hey, this person's actually trying. They want to be here, which is half the battle.
Right.
Anyways.
Well, man, it's funny. I was actually just talking to a buddy of mine. I met him on the way in, and we had a beverage and watched the Argentina games. Go Messi, right? But that's what he and I were talking about. So he's making a transition into a different department up this way. And it was one of those things, like it's kind of up in the northeast of this region is what he was saying. It's a lot more of who you know, not what you know.
Yeah.
And there's validity in that. And that's what he and I were talking about. I said, man, when you figure a department that's only hiring 3-4 folks, is it worth their risk of hiring this guy that's a really good test taker, but maybe a jerk at the firehouse, can't get along with folks, but he's really intelligent? Or are you willing to take this person that PJ and Zach have known on a personal level and can vouch for, right? And it's a good addition, overall, a good mesh to you and your company or you and your organization, right? So there's some pros and cons to that. And I think in the business world, the fire service, however you want to look at it in life, relations are a big part of things, right? And if you can't get along with people, one, you can't be trusted, right? But you can't get along with people and have a good repertoire with people. And that goes back to what you were saying about, riding around with the crew, back and forth to the bogus calls. If you can't get along with people and have a good outlook and a good mindset, then you're just doing yourself a disservice, and not to mention your organization. So.
No, but also in the same line, you're talking about the people that vouch for you early on. They kind of must become your mentor too.
Absolutely.
And I think
100%.
We talk about the tech side, like that was a huge component, having someone to sort of open the gates for you.
Yes, sir.
And so who was that for you?
Oh, we'll get to that one. So let's back up. So I graduated the academy in August of 2013. And I went to the prestigious Station 1 in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is a 3-company house. It's the only 3-company house in our city. 2 engines, 1 ladder. Awesome experience. When you want to talk about new boy status in the fire service, I was 24 years old, and I had some really big jerks that worked. They were senior firemen, and they just made sure that I understood my place, right? And I think that's very valuable for a new firefighter, right? You have to earn it with a smile on your face, and you gotta accept that. Hey, I gotta clean. I gotta do the duties, man, and I've got to be the bottom person on this totem pole for a little bit, and I've got to do it with a smile on my face in order to earn the respect from those guys. And then they're going to look out for you because they know you can handle it. And then they're going to train you to be good firemen.
I think that is a lost ideal these
I do
days.
too.
I feel like people come on and they're like,
I think so, man.
I don't have to go through that.
Yeah.
But you do.
Right. Well,
You do.
and I'm sure we'll get to it at some point in the conversation, but there's a sense of entitlement.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
Anything that we do nowadays, especially, and I hate to say it's a generational thing because it's not a generational thing, right? It's all generations. There's just a sense of entitlement. No. We deserve to be paid more, right? Yeah. We deserve to work less. We deserve to get our way.
Yeah.
We really don't, man.
No,
we really don't. But we deserve the opportunity to earn that facet, right?
Yeah. And that's the hard part.
That's how I look at it.
That's the hard. Yeah. We will talk about that, believe me.
But
you're a special ops track. Sorry.
Yep. So graduated that, earned new boy status, and then my first transfer from there. Our department's really cool, man, and it's you serve here, you work here for a little bit, and then oftentimes at those kind of new boy stations, you get bounced around when the next academy graduates, so on and so forth. So a rookie school graduates, last person gets booted out, and then make room for a new rookie. It's not, man, because we've got busy stations, we've got really slow stations in our organization, so it's tough to send a rookie to a really slow station. So it's a good mix, man. I was very fortunate. My first transfer, I went to a special operations ladder company, a technical rescue ladder company, with a jam up crew. And man, I got to learn a lot from those guys, and those guys became my mentors, even still to this day. Two of them no longer, we had a crew of 4. 2 of them no longer work for the organization. Both of them retired early. One of them was actually a medical retired, and he's one of my best friends to this day. And then my captain at the time, he took me under his wing, and he's actually one of our rescue captains now, and he is just a jam-up dude. Yeah. I love him. I think the world of him. He'll retire probably in the next 6 to 12 months. Yeah. But yeah, awesome purpose. So that was my pipeline. I served on that company, that ladder company, where I learned a lot of technical rescue aspects and fireground aspects on the truck company side. I served there for about 3.5 years before getting a good opportunity to ride our rescue truck. So we have 1 rescue in our department, 1 rescue, 2 squad concept, and then 3 other technical rescue pieces of equipment. And I got to ride our rescue truck for a couple years, and that was a great crowd. Yeah. We ran through a couple different officers, a couple different drivers, and then the 3 of us in the back seat, we stayed together for those 2 years until I left. And I promoted out of that position, man, and it was just an awesome experience. Got to see a lot of fire, but more importantly, man, I got to see a lot of technical rescue stuff. Yeah, and
what
so cool.
What out of the tech rescue skills sort of hooked you early on? What was it?
Ropes, man.
Yeah,
ropes and water. Yeah. From my background from ocean rescue perspective, I swam in high school. I was on the swim team.
Oh, you're a swim guy. Yeah.
So it's just water, man. Always been drawn to the water. I love the water. Yeah. So then that swift and flood water was a really cool draw. And then ropes, the high angle side of things. I love to nerd out on rope stuff now. And to answer your other question, who are my mentors? Those are the people. So one of the guy that ended up driving for me the majority of time when I rode that rescue truck, he is one of the people that got me really into the instructional game in our city and state and so on, and really opened the doors for me there. And I owe him a lot of gratitude for that one. Yeah. Love him for that. And but yeah, he taught me a lot. And those are his 2 passions, were rope and water. So we just aligned really well. Yep. I kind of followed in that path and really started shadowing him. And he was a huge mentor 6-7 years ago, and he is still a huge mentor of mine to this day. And we teach classes together now. So it's awesome to be able to look back and learn from this person. And now 6-7 years later, now I get to teach alongside of him.
So how did you know that you wanted to be an instructor?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. At one point in my career, someone said, Zach, you will be a good instructor. And I was like, man, I don't even know what you're talking about. That doesn't make sense. It was my first captain. And I still remember that conversation. I was like, you say that, but man, I'm brand new. What do you mean I'm going to make a new instructor? He's like, well, the way that you learn, the way you study, and the way you have a facet of teaching yourself because you're interested and invested in these things, right, you are going to make a good instructor if you want to be. And then that just kind of stuck with me. Yeah. And then so moving through, some doors opened to where, hey, we need somebody to fill this role. We need somebody to fill this role. Hey, Zach, you're available and willing. And absolutely, yeah, I want to fill as many roles as I can early on in my career. Yeah. Just to get buy-in, to learn more, and then to help out, because I feel like I owed our department something at that point, right? They've given me a lot. They've gifted me opportunities, and now I got to give back. And then so that opened the doors to instruction. And then I started falling in line with some of those guys I really looked up to. They were instructors. Yeah. And it seemed, it was kind of a correlation, right? Some of the best firefighters, lieutenants, drivers, officers, whatever, they were also instructors. Right. And I was like, man, to be good, you got to be an instructor. And I know now that's not the case at all. But I still believe some of the best folks in your organization are probably instructors in some capacity, right? Whether it's a Con Ed instructor who's really passionate about this particular facet of the fire service, or they teach broadly in-state and out-of-state, for things.
But those are the people that guys
exactly.
look up to.
And those were some of my big mentors. So it just kind of fell for me, and I fell into it, man. I loved it. I got an opportunity to teach a couple fire academies in our department, which opened the doors even more so for that, for different skill sets and disciplines. And then I just fell in love with the technical side of things, right from a practitioner, and then from an instructor as well. And like I said, the opportunities have opened up for me, and I was able and fortunate to grab them when they did. And it's just kind of shaped me to where I'm at today. So,
what do you think the dividing factor is between just regular fire service and tech rescue? What do you think it is that separates?
I think there's a willingness. I think there's a drive, a personal innate drive to kind of go above and beyond.
Yeah.
When I look at the fire service in general, right, you look at your basics, right? When I think of a basis of firefighting, and I don't look at this from my department specifically, but I think in general, the basis of firefighting is the basics, and basics, and that's our standard. So there's a minimum standard, we know that, but a minimum standard is a standard,
yes,
right? And I think that minimum standard or that standard is the basis of being a firefighter. And I think when you reach that standard, in my organization at least, that acquires you or allows you to be a backseat engine company firefighter.
Yep.
Right. And that's our basis. When I look at the fire service in general, especially in my area, a backseat engine firefighter, the fourth or even the third person is just that basic firefighter. And then a little bit more drive. When you go above and beyond that basic, then you become maybe even a driver or a ladder company firefighter. It's basic to pull line, fight fire. Yep. The most thought you have to do is sizing up, hey, what hose am I pulling and where am I pulling it to? Right? You don't have to know all the friction loss. You just got to know how many GPMs am I putting out, right? Yeah. Did I select the right nozzle package, or did I select the right hose?
Or your officer's going to yell at you.
Right, or I'm going to
tell you,
right? But it's more of a less thought process and more of just a do, right? I've only got to connect a few dots in that. Well, you get to ladder company ops, it's a few more dots to connect, right? You've got to be good at, hey, do I need vertical ventilation or is horizontal ventilation appropriate, right? Do I need to go to the roof? Now, if I'm going to the roof, what saw am I taking? Yeah. Commercial, residential. If I am going to the roof, am I setting up my aerial or am I using portable ground ladders? So there's a lot more thought process in play there. Well, I think a little bit beyond that is where I look at our special operations, especially the technical side of things. I can't vouch for hazmat because I'm not in that side of things.
It's the dark arts.
It is, man. And I respect those guys so much, and they're very intelligent. And I've never crossed that boundary into the hazmat thing. I've been so focused on the rope side, the water, and the technical side. But I think it's just that drive, right? Yes. It's that drive of I won't settle for being just a basic firefighter. Yep. I want to be better than you and him and her and all these other people. I want to be better, and I've got that drive to do so. Yep. And I think that's where some of your best special operations personnel come from, is just that drive of, I want to be better. Yeah. And how can I be better? And this is something, one, that I'm passionate about or I'm interested in. I think one of the big things that we confuse in the fire service and rescue world is we take firefighters and rescuers and now we make them swimmers, rescue swimmers, and water rescue personnel, or we make them rope people. And I think that's a little bit of a fallacy in our technical rescue world. I think you have to, one, have a drive, but also you have to have some sort of background in it, right? Yeah. You take someone who is a water-drawn person just in general, okay, they're going to be your person that's a little more drawn to the technical rescue, water rescue side of things. You can't just take Joe, who went through the fire academy last week.
Has no inclination whatsoever.
And can't swim, right? And say, well, you're going to go to water rescue class. Yeah. You can't do that, man. Yeah. But I do think, to answer your question, man, I think there's that kind of that innate drive of being better. And then having that kind of background of, oh, yeah, I like rock climbing. Or I like doing things on rope, or your rope access personnel or tower climbers in their former job, linemen or something like that now get in the fire service, and they have a background in rope and high angle skill sets, man. And I think those are the ones that, one, they have the background in those skills, and two, when you apply that with that drive to be better and not settle and chasing that next thing. I'm good at this. Okay, now that I've accomplished that task and I feel like I'm pretty confident in that skill set. I want to get to the next one. I think that's where you get some of your best special operators. I think far none, you have to be a good, in our world,
yes,
you have to be a good firefighter
yep.
before you can be a good technical rescuer. And I don't think there's a pathway in the fire service. Now, obviously, you've got your rescue companies and even US&R teams and different things where you don't have to be a firefighter and can be really good rescuer. Absolutely. And I think those organizations exist. In my organization and in the fire service, I think you've got to be a good firefighter before you can be a good technical rescuer. And it kind of slims that down and trims that out.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I totally agree with that. I just had this conversation with someone. He was from a local department, and we were talking about, I'd put out a call for a scholarship.
Okay.
So we were through our rescue lab thing, we were able to put out a couple scholarships, which was the whole point of like why I started this thing. It was cool to talk to this guy. He's like, hey, I'd love to get into the special ops side. Well, what drew you into it? He's like, I really wanted to focus on the basics for the first part of my career. I like stopped him there. I was like, dude, you're already there. I was like, if you understood that you need to learn the basics first and then take the next step into what's next, like that's the mindset of where you need to be. Right. And so even on the rescue side, what I tell guys is I love doing all the crazy shit, hanging off buildings, doing all that stuff. But the basis of the rescue, what we do is we search for people on fires.
Absolutely.
Like, that's what it all comes back. You have to remember, you got to get in that shit and dig around, and it's scary, but that is what the rescue, that's what those guys in Rescue 2 in New York were doing back in the day. Like that made the name for the rescue. Yeah. Sure, they were doing cool shit beyond that, but goes back to the basics. And, and I think I personally think the same thing. The mindset of the people that are in tech rescue special ops is just a little bit different. Obviously, it's a little bit wacky.
Absolutely. You got to be a little bit. You got to be a little bit further out there.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I said, it takes that one person. But I love traveling around to conferences. I love traveling and training everywhere because you meet it. It is a small community of people. It is. And even doing this, everyone knows everybody. That's the big cool thing. Isn't it? Yeah, it's crazy.
Or at least you know of that person.
Exactly.
Right? There's 7 degrees of separation, right? Yeah. In life, right? I think in the rescue world, the fire world, there's 2 degrees of separation. You know somebody who knows somebody who knows that person.
Yes, and that extends around the globe.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I was in Poland.
100%.
I met this dude.
100%.
Yeah, and that's why I like it. I think for me personally, it was the military background. It's just that same sort of concept. Mm-hmm. It's the high operating people that want to be there.
Absolutely.
You have to want to be
high operating and high functioning.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't make anyone to a firefighter. I'm a firm believer that anyone deserves an opportunity to try to be a firefighter. I don't think you can argue that. Yeah. Everyone and anyone deserves an opportunity, but everyone deserves an opportunity, but it's not for everyone.
No.
Right? Not anybody can be a firefighter.
Shame on us for passing those people.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Not anyone can be a firefighter. It takes a special person, it takes a special mindset, a physical complement to be a firefighter, and then a little bit more than that to be that good technical rescuer, I think.
Yeah. And I think we can get that's a whole other episode about standards and
we won't get into that.
No, I know. It's one of those things.
But at least it. Well, and I think everyone deserves an opportunity to be a technical rescuer. But at a certain point, if you're scared of heights, you're not going to be a good high angle person.
Yeah.
Right. If you cannot swim or you're scared of the water, you're not going to be a good water rescue tech.
Yeah.
And there's so much overlap in these different capacities where if you're scared of the water, you're probably not going to be a good technical rescuer. Right. Just because you're not really good in the water doesn't mean you can't do ropes and con space and some other things, right? But the way our system seems to work is it's kind of an all-encompassing technical rescue side of things. So it is what it is. But I think you take one of those disciplines out, you can still be really good at the other 5 to 7.
Yes.
Right? But if you're scared, if you're genuinely scared of one of those disciplines, I don't think you can be a good technical rescuer.
Efficient at all of that.
Right.
Yeah, right. No, I agree with that.
You you're not a competent swimmer. That's fine, man. You can probably be the best rigger of ropes that I know.
And I think that's hard probably for organizations that don't have the manpower.
It sure is, man.
You have this small team and, so-and-so is afraid of this or whatever. Exactly. And I think that's where it gets tough to build these teams out.
Well, and we also take the technical rescue side, and I'm probably going to contradict what I just said, but you take that technical rescue side and you group it into one thing, right? And you say, well, you've got to be the best at this, all 7 to 8 of these disciplines. And you're like, but I can't.
Yeah.
I can't be good at all of that, right? I'm not scared of heights, but tight spaces, I'm not super comfortable in them. Okay, well, you're out. What do you mean I'm out? I'm great at high angle, but it's just going into confined space. Maybe I need a different role on the team in that versus you. Hey, I'm great in tight spaces. Yeah. Sounds good, buddy. I'm going to stand up here. I'm going to rig your system. Yeah. I'm going to lower you down.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the team.
You do you. Exactly. That's the whole point of the team. And I think that's where that good compliment comes from. Like I said, I'm contradicting what I just said. I think you've got to be well-rounded.
I think it can be
generally well-rounded in all of them.
There's a duality to it.
But then you've got your specialties. Yes. Right, where you really draw from, because you can't be the man or the woman at every single one of these disciplines.
No, and
it's just too much.
I ran into that when I first came in as captain on the rescue. I was sort of like, I can't do all this.
No,
and it took me a bit to just sit back and be like, I don't have to do all this. I need to build the team to be capable of doing all this. Exactly. And that was a sort of like, okay, like it took the weight off of me.
Sure.
And I still, but the hard part of that our program was in a tough spot.
Sure.
And so I still had to take sort of the reins and lead from the front. And I was like, okay, well, I got to go to all these classes.
I got to do it all.
Because I have to get people to somehow follow me in doing that. We're getting there. But it was just a saying, like, I'll put myself out there. Mm-hmm. I'll go to this stuff. Yeah. And along the way, I had to learn something.
Absolutely.
And so I'm trying to look back and be like, you guys come along. Like, I'm trying to get people to go to conferences. I'm trying to there's so much cool stuff out there.
There really is.
Yeah,
it really is. Well, and as a boss, man, that's your role. You've got to be the most well-rounded, right? Yeah. A backstep rescue person's got to be really well-rounded and have one or two disciplines where they're jam up at, right? Yeah. They are ballers. But you as the company level officer, you've got to be the most well-rounded person on that truck, I think.
Yeah, I fully agree.
And then you've got to be able to look around and build your team, whether it's a team of 2 or a team of 5 or 6. Yeah. Then you've got to be able to build that team and put the right puzzle pieces together. My captain, when I rode the rescue, it's fun to say that he argued with battalion chiefs. He didn't argue, right? Because they were buddies.
He was passionate.
But he told me one time that he had a conversation with the battalion chief, and the battalion chief was like, "You can't keep stacking your deck." And he was like, "What do you mean I can't stack my deck?
I have to.
Who are you going to call when no one else in this department or this organization, no one else on the scene can accomplish the task that you're looking for? Who are you going to call?" "Well, we're going to call the rescue." "Oh, then let me stack my deck." Right? I want to have the royal flush of flushes and stack that deck because I know that we're the last line of defense in our city. And so that's really stuck, and that's resonated with me too. Like where are our parameters on who rides what or daily, who is detailed in and detailed out? What are our parameters on that?
That's a very sore point.
Do we have them in our organizations? It's obviously fun to talk about, and we as non-chief level officers and non-administrators can always critique those things. I don't think it's necessarily our job to critique it. I think it is our job sometimes to voice our opinions.
Of course.
And hopefully they're heard and understood and not just a form of, well, they're always complaining about this and that and the other and so on and so forth. But there's really reasons why we're voicing some of those opinions and those things. But all that being said, like you should want to stack your deck.
Yes,
if that's your jam up crew, and that's your last line, that's the crew or that's the team you're going to call when stuff hits the fan, and the engine company and the ladder company and the squad and whomever else cannot mitigate that situation. That's the crew you're calling. Yeah. You better have that ace in your back pocket, and you better stack that crew to the best of the ability that they can function at.
No, and I've heard of other rescue crews, whether in my department or not, but they're like, "Oh, we'll just call the neighboring town." I'm like, 1,000% you will not. If you have that mentality in the first place, you are you're already losing.
Exactly. And if that's your fallback, it might as well be your first option. Yes. Really, if that's your last line of defense, you might as well go ahead and make that your first call.
Yeah, but even then they'll bitch about making that call.
Right.
So
exactly.
it's
and nobody wants to call mutual aid for help. Hey, we're in a bad spot, and turns out we've exhausted all of our resources 45 minutes in.
Yeah.
Can you guys come help?
That's miserable.
Unmess this one up, right?
That's the worst case scenario.
That's awful, isn't it?
Yeah, no, and that's the hard part too. Is like we talk about building regional capability because I think it's hard. If a department can't get its act together as far as helping a tech rescue team build out, then that team working alongside a regional partner is a huge benefit. Absolutely. Just for the fact that hey, at least we have like-minded people that we can train with. Sure. But now they're saying I got great friends in our neighboring towns. We're like, dude, I don't want to call you.
Right.
Well, I will because I know that you'll come and you're not going to step all over me. And we have a great relationship, but I get that mentality of we don't want to call them.
Right.
But
what do you think that looks like? Right. Really, in reality, especially if you've got smaller organizations and they're working together, right? And finances are a big thing, right? You can't afford the loadout for every technical rescue discipline.
Yes, and that's exactly what I was going to say.
And your small teams or small companies, like, what is the answer to that? Is the answer, hey, I've got to make operations level skill set people in a lot of different tasks, and then this company is really good at high angle, and then this neighboring department's really good at con space, and this neighboring department has a structural collapse component and trench, and like, what does the outlook look like?
I don't think there's a problem with that at all. I think if you actually build that into your model, though, and work in that parameter, instead of just being like, hey, we're not going to do anything, we're just going to call this down.
Sure.
Like, that's not the right answer.
No, it's not.
But working in yes, the funding thing, that's exactly what I was going to say is these companies or these departments expect this team to do everything, but they won't fund it. They won't give you the personnel. And now what do you do? Now what do you do? So you have to call that other town in. So if you have that relationship knowing, yes, we're good at this, and that town's good at that. We can save money, flip flop, and do that.
Well, but I think when you look at that model, I think, and even from a large department model, right? Because my response times to the other side of the city are probably the same as your response times into two towns over. But I think even in a larger style city, can I have a spread out variety of operations level skill set? Let's not make everybody
department wide. Yes,
right. Let's not make everybody this technician level or whatever it is, and let's water this thing down. Hey, let's get a good competent skill set of an operations level skill set for some higher achievers in our organization, and then the other level of higher achievers are my really good technicians. And then from there, I've got some specialists that bounce around in these different as SMEs.
There's no cost to that then. I mean, unless you want to get equipment, if you want to fill overtime to train. But if you are training shift to shift and you're training out, then yes, you can build. You can absolutely build interdepartment capability, 1,000%. And I think you still run into some different roadblocks.
Obviously,
and that's
you're always doing that. In training in general, you run into roadblocks. It just is what it is, and not everybody's up to the same bar that I set, right, or that you set, right. And so when we want people to get up to that bar, they may or may not tag in with us.
And that leads to a good point too. Is I was going to ask you about becoming a lieutenant and seeing things from sort of the officer side, and I think having the right officers in the right spot, especially on the rescue, and I've seen mistakes where it's like, this is not the way, and that just breeds a terrible program.
It can.
Yeah, it definitely can. It's very it's very hard. It's hard to overcome that, I think. But you became a lieutenant. What did how did your aspect change on leadership and what you saw in the tech rescue side, even the fire side?
Yeah, I learned I couldn't do it. I had to watch it, right? And I think that's a tough spot for our officers in general is when you look at a really good officer, it's a combination of a lot of different skill sets, right? One, they are a really good technician or practitioner, right? They're also a really good leader and a good communicator, and there's a number of different facets that form together to form this good, we'll call it a rescue officer, right? And I think that rescue officer has to be able to step back and entrust their personnel with operational tactics, right? So they're overseeing, but they're not cutting the door off the car anymore. They're watching the firefighter in the backstab cut the door off the car, right? And I think from my perspective, from a promotion, and we say lieutenant, right? And that's absolutely my rank. I call myself a driver. From that role and even riding the officer's seat, it's am I still the person that's going over the edge in a harness, or am I the person that's watching the things be done and making sure holistically that this is a simple and efficient and as safe as possible setup for how we're operating. And I think call can dictate that, and what are the other resources coming. And there's a certain time where I think sometimes your best person, no matter what their rank, has to get in a harness and go in the hole or over the edge, or go put on a PFD and go in the water. I think sometimes you have to do that. But I think a lot of those technical rescue calls, the best person is the person you want. You want that best person sitting back being your total overview. And I think that's the difference in a backstep practitioner versus kind of promoting up through the ranks, and especially as you're set, like the company level officer on the rescue truck. My step as a driver or lieutenant, even an acting officer, a little bit of that same thing, but I get to bridge the gaps. And I think that's a really cool spot where I'm at, is I still get to play, but I also get to do this. But I also, man, I'm a firm believer that the lieutenant's logistics, or excuse me, that the driver is logistics. Okay. Right? Your rescue driver, whatever, they know the truck.
They should know the truck.
In and out. They better know the truck in and out. Right? They drive it, they operate it, right? Pump operator. A driver of an engine is a pump operator, right? They are logistics for that truck. You need an attic ladder? I'm bringing it to you. You need a 6-foot or 8-foot pipe pole? I'm bringing it to you, right? I'm making sure you got water. I'm making sure the truck's getting water, right? They're logistics, right? So how's that different than a rescue company driver who, hey, I need you to be logistics. A writ comes out. I need you, rescue company driver, to make sure that this person from this engine company and that person from that ladder company are coming to this truck to rob equipment because it's a mayday going on.
Right.
They need to know where it is and what equipment to give, and that's logistics person. Same with a technical rescue environment, right? It's funny to me. It's not funny, but sometimes I feel like it happens. You get a technical rescue call. We'll call it an elevator call, right? Everybody from that 4 or 5 person company heads straight up to the floor.
This is an ongoing battle.
We didn't leave anybody at the truck to bring more equipment, right? Yeah. Oh, we're going to call that next in engine. Hey, get this rigging bag off the truck, or get this set of Paratex off the truck, or yada, yada, yada. I don't think that's the best setup for us, right? No. Again, back to stacking your deck. Stack your deck to where you can be one short and your driver can run logistics and now can bring additional equipment up when you get to the spot and realize you don't have the right thing, or you're missing something, or you need something else, right? Or they're staging right there, right? Hanging out for a minute, right? And now they're sending the next engine up with some additional equipment because, part 2, part 3, you just can't carry it all for whatever situation is, right? And I think there's some value in that. So to long roundabout, from the driver's perspective, I kind of look at that person as logistics of your truck. Yeah. I do.
That's a smart take, though. You could write a book on that.
I'm not, but I'll talk to somebody and have them write it.
A ghostwriter?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What was your biggest sort of leadership lesson that you've encountered along your path?
Oh gosh, dealing with people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all we do is people interaction. I mean, that's the fire service, right? Whether it's people we're on truck with, on crew with, whether it's people we're on calls with, but human interaction. As a backstep firefighter, you can get away with a lot of stuff and plead ignorance. When you promote up to a company level officer or even a relief officer, you can get away. You can blame less things on ignorance because you should know better. But dealing with people, right? How to deal with people that are now your subordinates, that used to be your equals. How to deal with that relationship. And then how to supervise, right? So if my captain is off, my boss is off, and I've got to ride that seat. Now I have to make sure that my crew respects me enough, right? That I'm not just one of the guys joking around, cutting up. I'm still doing that, right? We're still going to have a good time, right? Because we just have a good relationship. The guys I work with, we really do. But when stuff hits the fan, they got to know that, hey, Zach, I trust you to make the decision, and that this is now a dictatorship in an emergency situation, and what you say goes, and without a lot of conversation at that point, right? So relational, it's all about people relation. It's building trust, right? It's building trust with your crew, that one, they respect you as the boss, that you are going to make the best decision for the people that we came to help, and the best decision for us as rescuers and us as a crew. Man, and the trust of the citizen that's calling 911, right? It's all about people interactions, right? And that comes back to our conversation on customer service. How are we treating that person at 2:00 in the morning too?
To go to the leadership side, I think the fire service does a terrible job in creating its future leaders. I mean, and not any sense, they're not doing it on purpose, but they I know we can go take this officer class, but I was in the Army for, well, if you count the military university before that, that's 8 to 10 years almost. Right. And the Army's motto is, leadership can be learned. And I think it can, but it takes a long time. And it takes all those lessons of coming up as a young guy and getting your ass kicked and being treated like shit and rising above that. Yeah. And the fire service just hey, guess what?
Here you are.
Now figure it out.
Well, I mean, and I think it starts early on, right? Do you have good mentors? Do you have bad mentors? Right? Do you work for good officers? Do you work for bad officers? Yes. I've been fortunate. Every officer that I've ever had has been a good officer, right? Yeah. And I'll say some better than others, right? But all of them have been good. I've never had a bad officer. Yeah. Now I've worked with bad officers. Yes. I've been detailed out, and I've had those guys that are like, holy cow! Yeah. I have learned more from you in 12 hours of what not to do than And we've all had those people. But I think when you look at a company level officer that still grabs the mop and the broom, right? That company level officer that's still fighting into the dishes, there's a level of respect that you have for him or her, bar none, right? And so I think that's one of those things that's always stuck with me, right? I am not going to ask my guys to do anything that I'm not willing to do, right? As a company level officer, acting officer, whatever. I'm not going to ask them to do something I'm not willing to do, and I'm not going to tell them to do something that I haven't done before, right? And so yeah, I mean, it's all relationships, and it's bridging those gaps between, hey, we're buddies, we're cutting up, we're smoking cigars at the house, we're playing cards.
It's wicked cool, you guys, to smoke cigars. We're not allowed to.
Right? We're not either. Per policy, we're not either. So
nobody does.
We used to up until April. This is the funniest story. Up until April 20th of this past year, we could smoke cigarettes at the station. Yeah, 420 really ruined that one. But
yes,
and I get it. But yeah, man, just being one of the guys and still being able to figure out how to be one of the guys, but also be the supervisor. And I'm in a weird spot, man. And again, I use my crew. I love my guys, man. There's 4 of us on the crew now. We've had a couple changes in the last few months, and we had 5. We lost a couple of them, but we got another guy, man. And I love our guys, man. I really do. All of us. And we get along really well. But I would consider myself kind of a middle management role, right? So I've got my boss. And then I've got 2 guys that are underneath me. So that kind of middle management. So like I'm one of the guys.
Middle management.
Yeah, we can all talk crap about the boss, and then I can talk with the boss and be like, I don't know why they did that. Those times. But it is super fun. I get to bridge those gaps, right? Fun. And so I don't have to be the boss, but like that it's all about people relationships, man. And I get to earn the respect of the guys, and I get to earn the respect of my boss, man. And I think there's a fine line in being buddies and being boss, right? And I think it comes from the respect that you have, right? I respect my boss so much as a boss, I don't want him to have to be my boss. So we're buddies. We teach together, we cut up, we joke together, all the things. But if he comes down and says, hey, Zach, we're going to have this conversation. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Boss. I get it. We've changed now that dynamic in that conversation. And then we're good from there, right? But hey, And the crazy thing is, if he has to do that, I already know. I already know what put him in that position, right? And ultimately, it's my fault. I messed up somewhere to make him have to do his job, and I so badly don't want to make him do his job. Of course, in that capacity, that I'm gonna work harder. I'm gonna do more to make sure that he understands that I respect him as a boss. And if you've got a good camaraderie crew, man, your back steps are going to do that to you, right? They're going to work hard to make sure that you as a boss look good. If you're a boss, empower those guys to work harder to make you as a boss look good. Don't be a dictator. Don't be a jerk around the station. And, it's one team, right? And then make sure that there is a mutual respect up and down the ladder.
I think that's pretty evident, You see the crews where that works.
Absolutely. And it's so simple. Right? We talk about it, we're like, well, duh, that just makes sense. Well, why didn't everybody do it? Because it's not that simple. It's not that easy, I guess.
I just, you talked about being that young kid coming in. I see it now, the officers, these new guys come in, they head to those stations, and you're like, man, we'll see what happens in a year and what it looks like.
Yeah, I hope you don't learn a lot of bad habits in 6 months.
And that's the problem, though, is I think that's where a lot of that stuff comes from. And it's hard to bounce back if you're put immediately into that position. You don't know better. You don't come from a background where you work somewhere, you were in the military, and you just sort of roll in and like, oh, this is how things are done.
Right.
And that's, you just, and meanwhile, in the back, I'm like, it's kind of a death sentence.
Right.
But.
And then your first move's a culture shock, like, oh, crap, this is what we do. We're not sitting in the recliner at 10 a.m. Oh, okay. We actually.
Oh my God, it's a Saturday. We're training.
We have a consistent schedule of chores, station chores, duties, right? Making sure the trucks and the rig's good to go. And then we're going to train. We're going to pull some stuff off. We're going to work, and we're going to get better at our skills. So it's wild. It's a wild concept, right?
It's an amazing concept.
It's a wild concept.
Let's switch gears. Talk about Task Force 8.
Let's do it.
How'd you get involved in that?
By default, man. So Raleigh Fire Department, along with Chapel Hill Fire Department, Durham Fire Department, Wake County EMS, right? Those are kind of our neighboring agencies. Those 4 agencies make up North Carolina Task Force 8. Okay. So the North Carolina Emergency Management, the Task Force program, has got 7 task forces across the state, right? From Asheville in the west, Asheville-Buncombe County, to New Hanover County, Wilmington area in the east. And so there's 7 teams across the state, and then there's a googob of swiftwater rescue teams that are deployable. But those 7 task forces are SUSAR teams. And then we've got a conglomerate of a Type 3 SUSAR team versus a Type 1 SUSAR team. Charlotte Fire Department, which is North Carolina 3, and our organizations, the 4 of those that form up Task Force 8, are the 2 Type 1 SUSAR teams, by North Carolina standards, which is really cool. And really all that is as a Type 1, you're self-sufficient and you can work for 24 hours, right? The other 5 agencies or organizations that make up their type 3s, they're 12-hour instead of 24-hour around the clock. So they're self-sufficient for 12-hour working capabilities for structural collapse skill sets, right? And all of those task forces, they're structural collapse trained, and they have the skill sets and the equipment and all the stuff to do structural collapse, whether it's a type 1 or 2 building collapse or a type 5 collapse, as well as swift and floodwater rescue. So it's really cool to be part of that. Well, just by becoming part of the technical rescue team in my city, the doors there were opened for deployments. Is kind of how that worked out. It was kind of an all-together sort of thing. So once I was eligible and went to a structural collapse technician course, our state course, and trained up in that, and then technically I became deployable for our standards, right? And there's a few other things behind the lines of what that looks like, right? We all know that, but that's kind of how I got plugged in with the task force.
Nice. And how long has that been? That you've been on there?
Man, so my first deployment was in 2016 for Hurricane 2016. I think it was Hurricane Matthew.
Wow.
And the Hurricane Matthew is the one that came through that East Coast and actually came up the Cape Fear River and wrecked Raleigh pretty good, center part of the state. We deployed down east. And if you Google the North Carolina State versus Notre Dame college football game in Raleigh, North Carolina, in 2016, I'm pretty sure it was one of the wettest college football games ever to exist. That was Hurricane Matthew sitting over top of Raleigh, flooding out everything. And I was deployed about 3 hours east to Pamlico County, North Carolina. So we pre-staged out east for that one for a water rescue deployment, and then the storm kind of changed paths. So we didn't get a lot of action on that one. But after the storm subsided, a lot of flood waters worked east in North Carolina. So we had a few rescues from the flood aspect of it a couple of days after kind of the storm subsided. So that was my first deployment. As part of North Carolina, just in general, we deployed to assist with Hurricane Harvey relief outside of Houston in 17. And so then I got to be a part of that one as well. And then a number of other ones to include Hurricane Helene there a couple years ago in Western North Carolina.
What was that experience like?
It was an experience, man. I am very fortunate that I got to be a part of it, but I hope I never have to do it again. If something bad happens, I want to be there. Of course. And I think we can all relate on that. I don't want anything bad to happen.
No.
But if there's a fire, I want to be there. If there's a bad storm, I want to be there, right? And that's an arrogance side of things, right? But it's also a confidence in, I have trained for this, right? And we talked about from the ocean rescue perspective. I have trained in this capacity, and I know that I have a skill set that can assist someone who does not have the same skill set. So if something bad happens, I want to be a part of it because 100%. I want to be able to help those people when no one else can.
Dude, Venezuela. I would love to have gone to Venezuela.
And I would spit my hats off for California, Miami-Dade, and VA1.
Yeah, actually, a bunch of them just got back. All my boys just got back, and I'm awesome, itching to talk to them, dude.
Dude, that was and baller status to those guys, right? They've trained up, and now they get to go perform, which is super cool, right? So for Hurricane Helene, that was our mindset, man. We trained up. My team was trained up. We were good to go, and then we got the call to go, and along with most other agencies within the state, right? And everyone did work. You can call up any Swiftwater deployable team, any task force in our state, and ask them what they did, and they will tell you they did work, right? And I even know Vermont came down and they were involved in it, and the storm changed paths a little bit and really wrecked Western North Carolina versus the Florida and some of the other places that they anticipated it hitting hard. So they moved a lot of teams in, but man, my team was deployed for 21 days. I was there for roughly 12 of it. Being in state, we got to kind of swap out, which was nice. Because you go 6-7 days without cell service, right? Your showers are minimalistic, right? If you get them, right? The food, we were fortunate that the place that was actually sheltering us and kind of our IC post or our base of operations was really good, man. And we were fortunate on that one.
That's good.
There in Haywood County, but then we moved up to another county, and things were not as good and convenient. Now, emergency management and a lot of nonprofits did a lot of awesome things to support first responders. They really did, man. I didn't need an MRE. We had food, man, and it was great. It was great to watch the community and the nation, and even beyond that, come in to support and affect those things. But man, it was just the rescues that we did on day one. And then the assists, evacuations, and rescues we did following the actual storm day for, again, 3 weeks near. And searches and wide area searches, and at a certain point, body recoveries, and working with, HR dogs, human remains dogs, and stuff like that, right? The capacity in which we were able to work was pretty incredible from my perspective.
Yeah. Are you going as a rescue specialist, or what do you?
And so for that one, I went as a planning team manager.
Okay. Yes.
For our task force.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yes.
Yeah. So it was the first time I served in that role.
Yeah. That's a big role.
It was. It was overwhelming at times. Yeah. And it was great though. Man, I learned a lot, and I got to work, and I got to put together some skill sets that I learned, and hopefully affected our team a little bit better off than not. Yeah. From the technology component, and that was one of the big things that I learned in a PTM class, the technology component. In a wide area search like that, man, the whole western part of North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, were all wrecked, right? So the technology component of how are we tracking where our teams are going, what are they actually searching, and where have they been? That's a huge component that FEMA's looking at, that our state emergency management's looking at, but the federal is looking at, right?
It's SARCOP or
what do you guys? SARCOP.
Yep.
So we use Quick Capture as our program, and then we also doubled down with a CalTopo. And so at the time, man, it's a great CalTopo, SARTopo. It's a great program to run, and it was a live track. Now we learned a lot having no cell coverage, having no Wi-Fi outside of our base or our forward operating base and stuff like that. So we learned a lot of those things, but that was the biggest takeaway, and that was kind of the overtime work for our planning team guys and our TIS guys, those information specialists, on making sure that we had the right information captured that our teams were working with.
Yeah.
And so we worked with, once we moved out of Haywood County, we went into another county, Mitchell County, and we worked with VA2 for a little bit there, FEMA team, and Oklahoma teams, a local Wake Forest team, which was deployed with us, and then a couple of others. That was really cool, man. We got to work with different IMTs and ISTs
the layers are.
It's wild, man. I didn't get to be the boots on the ground a whole lot on that experience, that excursion. I was a little bit behind the scenes, messing around with computers and doing some different stuff. But again, the work that our team did is freaking phenomenal. Yeah. And just to be a part of it in the capacity that I was pretty great, man.
I think there's something to be said, like, and it touches on before being like the tip of the spear of the fire department, but then you move into this upper echelon, right? It is just like
Well, and you can't take your average, again, base firefighter and put them in that capacity and say, all right, go. I need you to go search this 10-acre space, right? Or this quarter-mile radius. You can't do that, man. There's got to be a little more training. There's got to be a little more discipline. And then when you do find something that needs to be tended to, like, what are the skill sets and capacities that you're doing? Are you just calling for help, or are you starting the recon of this house that fell in a mudslide, right? And you hear something, or you see something, or smell something, and now you're going to investigate it further. Do you have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to be able to affect the recon and call for more people and equipment to do that?
Yeah.
And I think that, like you said, it's that progression, that tip of the spear, for sure, the fire service.
And I think that's why it's like, cool. I mean, that is, it's the absolute pinnacle of that professional. Like, that's why that draw is just like, man, like, I want to be a part of that. Like,
it is awesome.
Yeah,
it is awesome.
It's very cool. I want to broach something that I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole because it can go very far.
Sure.
But it is something that, I know there's a conversation as far as FEMA versus USAR.
Okay.
And what do you think the future implications are for how that all will pan out? I know, like, big FEMA versus the states.
Sure.
What does it boil down to for you? Where do you think it's all at?
Man, honestly, I don't have enough education to have a good informed opinion on it. I'll just leave it at that. I think there's
very political answer. I like that.
But that's the reality of it for me. I think both of them serve a purpose.
Yes.
I think the funding is there for FEMA that we don't get for SUSAR teams. I think the quick response is there for SUSAR teams that FEMA may or may not have.
Yes.
Our closest FEMA team is Virginia Task Force 2 there in the city where I am. And I think the capacity in which we have a type 1 or 2 building collapse, I want those guys from Virginia Task Force 2 coming to help, of course. Right? We can't handle it, right? Yeah. We claim to be structural collapse technicians, and we have a lot of equipment in our back door. And yes, we are good. And we will do well with that. But in that capacity of a surf side, right, in Florida, in that capacity, I want the FEMA teams coming, right? Because I would say they're a higher level trained, right? They're up a little bit higher to date on the technology components and what is available, what resources are there, and they have the financial backing that our states may not.
Yeah.
But I do think, man, the SUSAR aspect, the state teams, the urban search and rescue teams, the water teams, all the things, man, they're invaluable. right? And as long as your state can support it and fund it and train those folks up, and you are putting out good products that can readily respond, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
And that's not even to diminish your local assets. I think training up local assets is very valuable. But again, when you look at small departments, like we touched on earlier, do they have the capacity to operate here? Right. Yeah. And in Western North Carolina, a lot of those small fire departments that are predominantly volunteers did not have the capacity, right? So they had to rely on additional resources, and not even just mutual aid components, but they had to rely on SUSAR teams that were quick and FEMA teams that were pretty quick. Yep. But from Raleigh to Asheville, it's a 5-hour, 6-hour drive, depending on who's driving and if 40 is open or not. But from California, it's pretty far, man. So for California Task Force 1 to get to Asheville, North Carolina, it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that's just, again, I don't know a lot of it. I don't know enough to really have an informed opinion on whether there's a little bit of a headstrongness, right, or a good working relationship. I don't know. All the teams that I've ever worked with, FEMA teams, have been nothing short of phenomenal, right? They're very experienced, they're very knowledgeable, and they're willing to share that information.
Well, and if you go, you're down SUSAR, I mean, I think there's, there's people that represent both sides down there, and I think there's a mutual respect.
Absolutely.
And I personally believe that there is space for both of them because they do bring two separate things. And I think one good explanation from Chief Kumashad, who's actually on Virginia too. We were talking about Surfside, and he was just talking about how those local Miami towns were just engulfed, and they just, by the time Virginia 2 got there, and they bring that, again, that extra level of self-sufficiency, but it is going to take that time. And that's why those state teams, they can move quicker, and that's a great thing, but you need that staying power. And I think there's probably a way to, I'm sure FEMA's got its own problems, which doesn't help everything. Right. But in the long run, there is a place for both of them. It's just, it'll take some finagling.
Sure. Well, I mean, and I think it was at SUSAR when I heard it, and I think it was the Surfside collapses when basically they said, hey, this was a prolonged multi-week event, affair, really months, but it started locally and it ended locally. Mm-hmm. Right? And I think that's very valuable. And in Western North Carolina, it started locally and it ended locally. And that time frame in between, it was a lot of people's responsibility to make sure that everything else was met, right? Whether it was SUSAR teams, federal teams, and I think that could kind of be your pyramid aspect of it. It starts locally and it's local throughout, but those local assets get exhausted real quick. Yes. They get overwhelmed, right? So you bring in the SUSAR assets, and then you bring in the federal assets, and then you release the federal assets, and then you release the SUSAR assets. And then it goes back to localized. Yeah. And I think that's a good pyramid, kind of a matrix, man, if we were to work like that. And I think a lot of situations, a lot of large-scale incidents do operate that way. And I think that's very valuable for the localized asset to be the first one there and the last one to leave. Because they deserve it, right? And they want ownership in it. Yeah. Now, they need help, whether they want it or not. They're going to need help in some of these large-scale incidents. Yeah. And I'm not saying they need Zach to come, right? They don't need Task Force 8, but they're going to ask for you. They're going to need some help at some point. And at a certain point, a lot of those folks do, and they'll call up and say, "Hey, we want this team by name."
Oh, absolutely. Right? I know that. I know. North Carolina called Vermont directly and said, "You guys come down here."
We want Vermont here now. Yeah. Thank you, please and thanks. But and I think Vermont did the same thing to North Carolina a few years back.
But I think that goes to. Cool. I think that's the one thing about it that sort of is intriguing to me in the fact that, like, FEMA, you got to get the wheels moving to get these teams. But a phone call from one state to another, you can just start a team. Like, that's the cool component. Right. And those relationships matter. Like, when you go to these events and you see, again, small world, you know who you're working with. And, hey, I want these guys here with me. I think that's the cool part.
It is.
We'll digress.
It is really cool.
We'll digress on that because, again, that's.
Hey, I love a good squirrel now. Man, I'm bouncing.
I know. I did want to ask the value of having people on teams like that for a local department.
Sure.
Like, what do you think that brings to a local department?
It's invaluable. Yeah. It's invaluable. Just the skill set, the training, right? The equipment, obviously, right? But the skill set and the training, I'm a firm believer, and I heard one of my mentors say it one time, right? A fire is a fire. When you get the right 4 people on a fire ground, the fire's going to go out. Yeah. When you get the right 10 people on a technical call, that call is good. It's done. Right. And so I think that's invaluable. When you bring the right people and those trained, knowledgeable specialists, technician level or specialists, man, it's invaluable for a local agency to have those people. Yeah. Whether it's a predominantly volunteer agency, whether it's a 2-engine organization, or a 50-engine organization, to have a grouping of people that are that tip of the spear, it's invaluable to that that organization. It really is, man.
I think that's the ability, and just like those relationships again.
Absolutely.
To be able to bring that back is something very worthwhile. Sure. And it's hard because I think some departments don't really support that, maybe. Sure. So it's,
unfortunately, and it's a bummer, man.
Yeah.
I can't relate. Our department really does support a lot of things that we do pretty well, right? Obviously, we're not perfect, and I will definitely not say that we are. But we try to support things. Our administration really tries to support some of those things. And I think in that capacity of supporting USAR, SUSAR teams and water rescue teams and stuff like that, you now generate individuals that have individual relationships.
Yes.
Right? And Zach's not calling such and such at the state level or such and such at this department to come help for this incident. But what I am doing is I'm calling to pick their brain.
Yeah.
Right? And that's an invaluable conversation, because I'm going to call here because I have a personal relationship, and I'm going to learn, hey, what did you guys do on that high angle call? Mm-hmm. I want to know the ins and outs of it. And we have a good relationship that we can talk about those things. And now I'm going to say, okay, cool. Thank you. I'm going to bring that back and talk. I can call some guys from Florida or Virginia Task Force 2 and say, hey, how did Surfside go?
Yeah.
Right? And that's invaluable to my organization as a task force and a department, that members within my department can have personal relationships and say, hey, give me the inside scoop.
Yep.
Right? I want to know what you guys did. What were some lessons learned from your perspective,
of course,
that I can learn from, and now I can help my guys and gals at my organization learn from it. And again, from your question, man, it's invaluable to have those resources and those personnel on your organization.
Yeah, and it just goes back to relationships.
Absolutely. That's it.
And that's everything. But I'm getting tons of questions online here. Everyone wants to know about Anderson Rescue. How'd you become involved?
Oh, we're live feeding. Oh man, we're going.
No. Okay. But how did you get involved in that?
Man, Tim Anderson is an awesome human, right? He's a good buddy of mine. Years and years ago, when he was still in Philadelphia Fire Department, I reached out to him. I needed a couple straps, and I was like, "Hey, man, I want to get some straps for my guys. Sell them to me, right? Like, which one do I need to get?" So we got a ring version, a carabiner version. So novice Zach was like, man, I know this tool exists and I've used it. It's great. I need a little bit more information. So go to the source, right? Slid into the DMs of ARS, right?
Perfect.
And it was cool, man. And Tim is a one-stop shop, really, especially at the time. And he responded, and he was like, hey, this is what you want, man. This is what you want for your guys. So I got some guys Christmas gifts. This was a few years back. Yep. Loved it, man. And so from that standpoint, he and I really just kind of maintained a relationship. It was mostly virtual. But because of the task force and because of technical rescue, we really just aligned. And even before that, when I first originally met Tim, he had come down with a demo kit when I was riding the rescue there in Raleigh, and he allowed us to demo one of his roof kits. And so we loved it. So I actually met him there. Didn't exchange a lot. I mean, I'm a low-level backseat firefighter, so that was more the officer role and some of the senior guys, but still met him, still learned from him, right? So it was really cool. But all that being said, cut short, Tim left Philadelphia Fire Department and moved with the family to the Raleigh area. And based on that move, he then was reaching out to some of the folks that he knew locally, me being one of them. And was like, hey, what can my involvement be, right? These are my credentials. This is my this, that, and the other. I was like, man, I don't make decisions, but I can put you in touch with certain people. Yeah. If nothing else, like, I want to learn from you, train from you. So from there, just based virtually and then in-person meetups, man, we had a couple beers together and dinner and just talk shop and this, that, and the other. We really became good friends, man. Mm-hmm. And I consider Tim a really good friend to this day. So our relationally, right, we built on that, man. And then he asked me to come on board and help him with a show. Just got an expo. He's like, hey, I'm short people, but I like you. I trust you. Mm. Will you come in and help me with this expo? I was like, I'd love nothing more. I really would, man. And because I appreciate you, I love you, and I respect your company so much. I'm honored. And little did I know that was a job interview. And he was like, man, based on this, really appreciate your efforts and whatever, man. The way he said it, he was like, do you want to work for ARS? And I was like, sure, yeah, obviously, man. With a reputation like ARS has nationwide, right, and even internationally, that was a huge honor. And then that turned into, all right, well, help me teach these classes. And then that turned into, okay, I need to be the lead instructor. Okay, that turned into, hey, I need a training coordinator for ARS. And so it's just kind of over 5-6 years, man, it's kind of evolved to that. And he looked out for me in some times that I was very grateful for and very appreciative of it.
Yep.
So he's really helped me out a lot. And in turn, I like to think I'd helped him a little bit just by providing that. But ARS is a small business, man. ARS is a small business based out of North Carolina, a sewing shop of 6 sewers that build all of our bags, most all of our soft goods. And so it really is a small business. So there's a lot of trust component that goes into that.
What do you think makes ARS unique?
The small side of things.
Yeah.
And that's it, man. We don't cater. First and foremost, the mantra of the company is simplicity under stress, right? ARS is not out to, it's not a fad. It's not out to build products or make designs or make these things that are just fads that firefighters can buy into. It's truly rescue implicated devices. The multi-loop rescue strap is probably the best selling strap on the market. I know there's a lot like it, but it's the one that is what it is. And so it's proven, man. It's proven effective on real world maydays. It's proven effective on a number, and we don't even have a number on real world saves. Of humans, let alone your dogs, your animals, your leashes, your everything else that's used, right? But it is just a simple tactic, and Tim designed it and sewed it. His wife helped him sew it, the first one, and he started using it, and then the guys in Philly wanted it, and so on and so forth. But it was the proving grounds was Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, man. And if you know anything about Philly Fire Department, I didn't, but I've learned a lot. If you know anything about Philly Fire Department, those guys are ballers. They are badasses, man. And so those are some proving grounds for ARS products. And so that has come and made ARS what it is. It's simplicity under stress, and it is products designed for the end user. Now, a lot of it's kind of niche things, right? It's not generalized for your operations level skill set for rope rescue, but your specialists, your rope rescue technicians, your linemen, your access guys and gals, they are the ones that are really going to benefit from this. Not to mention your water rescue folks that are the high-speed, low-drag style folks on your deployment teams and your tactical teams and stuff like that in the military and law enforcement. So they're very, very high-speed, low-drag style of equipment with the bags and some of the ropes and stuff like that. But just how it builds out, the thought process and the R&D in the development of things makes ARS unique. And I think that's one of the biggest things between the R&D and then the proving grounds. Everything's tested, everything's secure. Like, this is what makes ARS. And I think it's super cool now to be on the inside of that, watching it happen, because I wasn't aware of it, right? Until a few years ago. And now knowing Tim and seeing how passionate he is on those things and the drive he goes into creating something.
That innovation, I mean, is that just come from his brain?
A lot of it. And so I hate to say it's all him, right? Because we know it's not, right? It's, hey, he had a conversation with these folks and these folks and built out these concepts and then kind of dialed it in based on other people's perfections. Case in point, right? We had an entropy bag, which it's a small, about yay big rope bag. It holds 100 foot of 11 mil, so that's about the size of it. But we took that and how can we apply this into the water side of things, right? Can we? Do we need to? And so I took that bag to a couple different conferences and a couple subject matter experts, and I'm like, hey, play with this. What are your thoughts? This is what I'm thinking, right? And I'm going to take it back to the drawing board. What do we feel like? Is there a benefit for this in the water rescue side of things? Is there not? We went back to the drawing board. We built a prototype. We R&D'd it. We tried it. We tested it with a few other people nationwide, and the responses were phenomenal. And now that particular water ops entropy kit, just the bag, and then the kit paired with another complement of equipment is spreading like wildfire in the water rescue community. And so it's super cool, man. We're grateful for it, but it's awesome. But that's what makes it unique. Small business, right? We're not outsourcing stuff to the lowest bid, to the cheapest person to make it, to profit off of it. We're building stuff for the rescuers, right? That are the end users, for the teams and the individuals that are in the bunkers doing the work. Man.
That's why cool. I love talking to like firefighter-owned businesses, because that innovation,
absolutely,
and like you call it niche, but I mean like, it is niche to a level that is like super cool.
Yes, sir.
Because I mean, it is solving specific problems at like such a high level.
Right.
And I laugh because I know everyone tags you, but like, what's it like to look at the videos of like the ESU guys climbing the tower, like seeing the strap hanging off them?
It's cool.
Yeah, I imagine.
It's cool, right?
Yeah.
They had a suicidal victim not too long ago that they pulled back and rescued that. And then the most recent one on the Empire State, like it's really cool. And Tim geeks out on it, and I do too now. And it's super cool. But to see those products, right, and to see a man that built his company so passionate about it, right, and to see that work go and be proven and now being broadcast, like it's really cool, right? Because cool. if NYPD uses it, if FDNY uses it, if Philly Fire Department uses it, Boston Fire Department uses it, it's proven, right? And I think that's a really cool step in the right direction for that company. And again, small business, it's cool, man. Yeah. It really is. There's no other words to really describe it, I guess, other than it's just really neat.
And it's funny to think, like, I was just speaking to somebody else about it in the sense that how do you balance the traditional side of the fire service with innovation? How do we approach that?
Dude, that's tough.
Yeah. I'm throwing it at you.
Yeah. No. Well, it comes back from your mentorships, right? Yeah. Are your movers and shakers, are they moving with the time? Right. And I'm sure you know some old heads that are still stuck in 1994 when we learned it, right? Or 2002 when we did it.
Yeah. Guys still using the breaker bars with the...
they're there, man.
Yeah. The rope racks.
You've got brake bar racks. You've got 8 plates that are still frontline choices for distinct control devices. Yeah. And I think that's asinine. Yeah. So I think you look at some of the folks that are moving with the times, right? And they're accelerating on those. Like, why on earth are you using an 8 plate and tandem triple wrap Prusix when the Harkin CMC clutch exists? Like, why?
It's so like... The fire service is it's such a slow machine to catch up.
Well, I think a lot of that's financially, right?
Of course.
Right? A department buys all these things. Well, next year they can't rebuy all these things. So they're buying things on 5-10-year plans of replacements. And that's fine, right? I get that. But I think we as practitioners, technicians, and specialists, we really have to stay in the field.
Yes.
And there's always something new evolving, right? Yep. Especially in the rope rescue industry, right? Whether we're coming from IMSAR, whether we're coming from rope access, whether we're coming from wherever else, right? Like the pieces of the equipment and the technology and the tactics.
And I feel like in the past 5 years, it has doubled in its in its technicality, I think.
Well, here, I thought it was just me that thought that.
No.
But I was like, well, 5 years ago, I didn't know anything. I still don't know a lot. But I was like, well, yeah, I mean, my eyes have opened a whole lot in 5 years. But I really feel like things have evolved so much in the last few years.
What do you think What do you think the future holds for rope rescue? What do you see coming down the line that you think is like the next thing?
I think it's going to simplify back down.
Yeah.
I really do, man. And if you follow CMC podcasts and some other things, Craig McClure is a CMC instructor, and I heard him talking on a podcast not too long ago. What's one of the most overtrained?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
See this.
And one of the guys said artificial high directionals. Yep. I agree.
Yep.
And either single rescue movements or rescue from ascent or something like that was the other one. And I was like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Duh. and so I think we're going to simplify it back down. I really love the fact that we're still using some redundancies. And that 2-point failure on everything is obviously a conversation, right? And we don't need to get into the weeds on that one. I do like the fact that we're doing redundancies, and I think the twin tension system has proven on a number of different tests why it's valuable. But I think we're going to see some simpler things come back down. Instead of artificial high directionals, we're gonna see pike and pivots.
Yeah,
right? We're going to see single rescuers rappelling and climbing versus just being lowered and now hauling 2-person loads.
Yes,
I really do, man. I think we're going to put some stuff back on the rescuer now that we have the equipment, we have the technology, and let's do some training. Right? Let's rappel down. Let's make access. If we're going to the ground, great. If we're coming back up, a rescuer is on their own set of 2 ropes, and then my victim and my load is on a separate set that's being controlled by my haul team up top, and with or without a high directional. I think we're going to slim it down and not do these extravagant high lines and this, that, and the other. There's a place for it,
of course,
especially in training. There's always a place for it, but how long does it take to set some of that stuff up?
A long time.
And is a rescue effective that way?
Yes.
Or, right, is my human element my X factor? Right, and it's got to be, right. Yes, the human element is the reason we have redundancies in place. I wholeheartedly believe that. However, the human element is also the thing that can make a decision based on recognition prime decision making,
right,
based on being in the moment, whatever that a computer can't, right, and that the company level officer, whatever up top cannot. That human that goes over the edge or goes in the hole and is making victim contact. has got to take risks,
Yep.
right? And I think they have to take calculated risks. Everything we do is a calculated risk. I think they have to be willing to absorb some risks in the name of rescue.
Of course.
And I think that's one of the things, funnel back to ARS, that's one of the things that ARS roof rope rescue kit is designed to do. The kit itself takes a lot of risk out, takes the rigging risk out, takes the equipment failure risk out because of the equipment that it is built by, or the equipment utilized in the kit. But it's a single rope system. It's designed to be that way. And I think a lot of our technical rope rescue is going to move into, maybe not, I'm not saying single rope systems, but I'm thinking it's going to move into a more of a simplistic design.
Yes, I agree. And I think the case for single rope systems is louder than it ever has been.
Yeah. And I think there's value to it.
Oh, of course. I mean, arborists have been doing it for forever. Yeah. And if you ever hang out with those guys, they're crazy.
They are wild. They're wild. Well, and mountain guys are doing it too.
Yes.
When you look at some of the MSAR side of things in certain aspects of our country, and especially out west, and your rims teams and different things like that, man, you're doing single rope systems on 9.5 and 8 mil. Okay. Yeah. And here we are in an urban environment using twin 1/2 or 11 millimeter ropes. And again, I think there's value to each of those, right? And I think from an urban fire department that claims we are a technical rescue team, there is a strong case to be made for redundancy. Of course. Right? We don't do it every day.
No.
Right.
And I think that's partially why.
Exactly. But your arborists, right? And they're willing to take risks and they're willing to do some things that we as rescuers probably shouldn't. But on the flip side, time is money, man. And when we're looking at a victim who is in a bad spot, right? And we have to help that person and assist that person. And that's our job. That's why they called us. We need to minimize the risk to ourselves, right? I'm still a proponent of what the book says, right? I'm number one, my team's number two, and then the victim, right? Because if I don't wear a harness, but I just go over the edge, I'm done, right? And now I'm a casualty, right? I'm of no help, right? Yes, the victim is my main concern, but only after I know that I am well-trained and well-equipped to perform. That's when the victim can become my main concern. Right? And when my team is well-trained and well-equipped to make sure that victim can be my main concern. So we have to do that. And I think there is a time and place in the fire service, and especially in the urban world, where a two-rope system is probably going to stick around for a while just in that capacity, at least for me. At least for me. And
I think for a lot of people.
I went canyoneering on 8 millimeter rope on some freaking jagged rock edges the other day, right? I'm down for a fun adrenaline time, but there's a time and a place for technical rope rescue, and there's a time and a place, even for access, right? And we take a lot of things from rope access side of things. Well, there's zero reason for there to be risk in a rope access job. Of course. Zero reason. You got all the time in the world, right? So minimize the risk there. Well, let's minimize the risk in technical rescue rope drills and technical rope rescues, excuse me. Let's minimize the risk by training and having the right equipment. And then, being quick with the two-rope system versus having to rely on a single rope system because it's quicker, more efficient. That's bogus. I think with the equipment that we have, the technology we have, I think it's kind of a slight to say that you're quicker on a single rope system. Right. In our world, arborists for sure, right, and certain things, right. But in our world, I think it's tough to say that you're that much quicker on a single rope system than a true two-rope, twin tension, anything like that.
Yeah, I think if you're trained properly, the two-rope shouldn't be an issue.
Exactly.
And I think that's a lot of the conversations we have is just getting to the victim and then dealing with the system afterwards.
Exactly.
And that's what I am continually pushing, let's just get down and figure it out.
If there's anything that I could say, and we did some training a couple years back, if there's anything that I could say to our technical rescue people is we need to make victim access. Quickly, right? Efficiently, right? But quickly. And I've strayed away from using the term safe. Just in our world, because we're never safe, right? We need to be safer than not, but smart, right? We need to use intelligence and we need to be smart, and that incorporates that efficiency and that safety. We need to be smart, but we need to access our victim, because if it wasn't a victim, we would have been called.
Time is.
But what's the issue with the victim? Until I get a victim or a patient assessment, I don't know my extrication, my extraction, or my rescue plan. Right? I've got to get a competent rescuer down there to recon that situation and make decisions, and then call for additional equipment, call for additional personnel. It may be just as simple as, hey, let's lower a medic down and shoot him with some epi, right? Or send me some Narcan, right? I don't know what the situation is, right? It could just be a very simple medical condition, right? It may not, but it could be, right? So, and there's some players in place there, but we've got to make victim access intelligently and smartly, I think.
Yes, and I to speak back to your point of Sprat, I feel, or like rope access, I feel like the rope access and rescue skills have already merged 5 years ago, and we are like so far behind in that sense, and it's just coming to light now. And it's something cool. I think the individual skill side of it is warranted, and it takes that team, not that it's a bad thing, but it takes that team and dwindles it down to maybe I can do the same thing with a couple people versus 10 to 12 people that would have built this huge system.
Well, and I think that's really cool. So it coming full circle in our conversation, what we talked about earlier is, do I need 30 people on my organization to be trained to this caliber of people? No, I need 30 people to be trained here. I need 10 people to be trained here. I need 3 people to be trained here, right? So now with some of this personal single rescuer movements, rope access skills, stuff like that, I can really accelerate those additional folks to really speed up her rescue plans.
Yes.
You know? So anybody can rig a 3-to-1, especially with the equipment we have now. Anybody can rig a 3-to-1, and gosh darn, anybody can pull on the son of a gun, right? But I need that intelligent person. I need a few to be able to make the good decisions on how to package, how to remove, how to extract, and safely get our victim back to where we need to be, so they can have ALS care and go on.
Yeah, I think we solved all the world problems.
We did, man.
I can't believe it.
I wish people would listen to it. I feel like we're at the firehouse kitchen table.
100%.
I'm short a Mountain Dew in this hand.
100%.
But that's okay. I got some in the car. Always ready. But yeah, I mean, I think we did. I think we solved quite a few of them.
I got hate with the lightning round though.
Okay. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know. You weren't prepared. Yep. What's the biggest misconception about tech rescue?
Biggest misconception about tech rescue is that anyone can do it. Again, everyone should have the opportunity, but not anyone can do it.
I agree. Best training evolution.
Best training evolution, basics. Go back to the basics. If you can perform the basics seamlessly, right? And what I mean by that is, if you can put a 2-rope twin tension system in place, rope with stopper knots touches the ground, you get on it and rappel. If you can do that in 4 minutes, right? That is basic. If you can do that skill, then you're good. Go back to the basics. That's one of the best training evolutions that you can do. Quick, efficient. Learn your equipment. You're touching everything, right? And you're measuring it out, and you're doing it right. And I don't mean tie a bowline on a bite and throw the bag, right? Pull your rope out, put that on a device at your anchor, make sure rope touches the ground with a stopper knot, and prepare to rappel. And you're incorporating a lot of things back into one. It's a really fun drill. I actually did it with a couple of my guys the other day, and it was super fun, man. We learned a lot, and that one 30-minute training evolution turned into 2 hours because I just kept opening doors. But
that's usually how it happens.
I digress.
No,
but the best, quickest, easiest evolution, back to those basics for tech rescue.
Yes.
Okay.
The most underrated rescue skill.
Underrated rescue skill, rescue swimmer. Yeah, so in the technical rescue environment, one of my dearest friends that I saw yesterday, Mike Mathers, he's a water rescue god, right? And he took me to dinner last night. It was awesome. I love seeing the guy. But his version is, what is the purpose of the rescue swimmer, right? And you know the answer to this?
I don't.
His response is to save the boat.
Oh.
Right? It's if you know Mike, right, he's very prophetic in how he talks, and I love that. But to dissect that, the rescue swimmer saves the boat. If the boat can make access to the victim, there's no need for a swimmer, right? But when the boat cannot, or it is too difficult, or we're putting too much danger on the boat, to save the boat, we have to put a rescuer, a swimmer in the water. So I think that is one of the. What was your question again?
No, I think you just answered it.
No, what was the question?
The most underrated rescue skill.
Underrated rescue skill
rescue
is a rescue swimmer.
Strong rescue swimmer.
Tethered, strong rescue swimmer.
Yeah. Actually, he spoke out at IAWRP. You were out there.
I was.
We ran into you out there. I mean,
he's awesome.
Light years ahead of everybody still. 20 years from now, the people that you've instructed, what do you hope they remember from you? What do you hope they say about you? People that you've trained.
I hope they think that he was really handsome and had great hair.
Obviously, that's a no-brainer.
Besides
that,
I hope genuinely, when I look at people, whether I've taught in a fire academy, because I was a jerk there, right? You got to be a disciplined jerk. Whether I taught them in the fire academy, a technical rope school, water rescue, whatever. I hope that they remember that Zach was passionate. Zach cared, and he was good at his job. Right? He didn't fluff us with bullcrap, right? He knew what he was talking about, and progressed, right? So in 10 years, I hope I'm not teaching the exact same thing that I'm teaching now. I hope we've progressed, and I hope I've progressed.
Of course.
But I hope 20 years from now, any student that I've ever had in any capacity thinks, hey, Zach was very passionate, and he knew what he was talking about.
Awesome. And what What's next? What's next for you? What's next for ARS?
The world is our oyster.
Yeah,
man.
So you got the blimp. The world is ours.
God, wouldn't it be cool? Man, for me, I'm not sure. I'm 13, almost 14 years into a potentially 30-year career in my organization. I anticipate being in my organization for 30 years, right? We have a good state retirement system there in North Carolina that if I serve 30, I get the pension and all the things. And now I'm not to say I'm not too good to say that those plans can't change, right?
Of course.
I'm always open to opportunities. So if anybody wants me to come work for their department, the price is right? No,
it's all about who you know.
exactly. No, but I envision that progression through the ranks in my organization is a potential. We'll see company level officers on the table in the next little bit. So We'll see. So I think that's a potential for ARS. We're really leaning into our training side of things.
Yeah. You guys got a training coming up in Bensalem, Pennsylvania?
We do. Yeah, just north of Philly, Bensalem. I think it's August 30th, August 31st, and September 1st, maybe. Two different options. But yeah, we're really going to lean into that training side.
Nice.
The roof rope rescue is an amazing skill set that a lot of organizations need to look into. If they're not familiar with it, they need to look into it, and then they need to seek some training on it. Because the potential is there for, especially your Type 5 over Type 1 constructions, anything that's got a courtyard with tough access. If you can't access it with an aerial or a portable ground ladder, what is your rescue plan on the fire ground side of things? Technical rescue, we can take all day and rig everything. On the fire ground side of things, if someone is impinged by fire and they move out to a balcony.
Did you just see that rescue in Antwerp?
I didn't.
We'll talk. I'll show you after.
Please. Yeah. But yeah, if fire has pushed someone out to a balcony, and they are expecting the fire department to come save them, and we cannot reach them with an aerial or a portable ground ladder, how are we going to get them? And I challenge any organization that if you have the potential, pre-plan your first deuce, right? If you've got the potential for that, you need to look into a roof rope rescue option. I'm biased, but ARS has the best kit on the market, and then we pair that with training pretty well too. So we're leaning heavily into that training side of thing, both with open classes and then custom classes. For organizations want to do, whether it's rescue strap drills, learning more about the rescue strap, our search and firefighter rescue kit, high point kit, or that roof rope rescue kit.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
And don't forget the rescue lab. You guys are going to come back and you're going to be with us next time.
Yeah, we are, man. Yeah, I hate we couldn't make it in May, but we're looking forward to getting up with you next year.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Zach.
BJ, you're the man. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, thanks for coming by. And now it's time for a beer.
Let's go get one.
As we wrap up, if you found value in today's conversation and want to help us continue bringing these stories, lessons, and training opportunities to the rescue community, consider supporting our mission through the New England Rescue Collaborative Foundation. The NERC Foundation is a registered 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to advancing technical rescue training, education, and collaboration for firefighters and rescuers across New England and beyond. Every donation helps us create training opportunities, support scholarships, and invest directly back into the rescue community. You can make a tax-deductible donation through the NRC Foundation Venmo. Every contribution, large or small, help keeps this mission moving forward. If you can't do that, we ask that you give us 5 stars on the Rescue Lab podcast review, and that goes a long way.